Welcome back, race fans. I'm Chris Durrell. I'm here with DailyFantasySportsRankings.com and Rotoballer.com to bring you my top picks and analysis for the Firekeepers Casino 400 from Michigan International Speedway. Before we get into the cheat sheet and stuff this week, just want to go over the standings a little bit. Martin Truex Jr. won the race last week. He's now got 2 wins on the season, 9 top 5s, which is tied with Kyle Busch for second behind Kevin Harvick, and he's up into 4th in the point standings overall this season. He's kind of joined that elite group with Harvick and Busch as the favorites going, as we get into the second half of the regular season, as the guys that are expected to be there when it comes down to the Final Four. After that, it's a little bit opened up. Depends on your opinion of what's been going on. Joey Logano is 3rd in points. He's got a win. Only 5 top 5s, but he does have 11 top 10s, which are tied with both Harvick and Busch for the lead in the series. You could also look at his teammate, Brad Keselowski. He doesn't have a win yet, but he's got 4 top 5s, 8 top 10s. He's 5th in the standings. Another Ford with Clint Boyer, Harvick's teammate, sitting there in 6th. He's got 1 win, 7 top 10s, 3 top 5s. Kurt Busch right behind him. And then kind of down on the bubble right now, we've got in 14th place, we've got Eric Jones. He's got 5 top 10s. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. in 15th. He's got 3 top 10s. Alex Bowman is actually sitting in the cutoff spot right now with 4 top 10s. And then you got Paul Menard, Austin Dillon, Daniel Suarez, Jamie McMurray, William Byron, guys like that right behind him. So it's going to be a tight race in points coming down to the end of the year. It's going to probably most likely come down 2 points for probably the final 5 or 6 spots, as a lot of the wins have been soaked up by those elite 3 drivers that I talked about a little bit earlier. So for this week, like I said, we got the Firekeepers Casino 400 from Michigan. It's a 2-mile intermediate track. The thing that's going to be a little bit different this weekend is they are running a different tire compound that Goodyear is providing. Some of the drivers, aka Brad Keselowski, aren't really a big fan of it. It's they've tested it, and going off some of his tweets and some of the things he said, it's one of the tire compounds that they did test that he and a few other teams didn't approve of. So it'll be interesting to see. What also makes this a little bit of a wild card this weekend is that the second practice today, Saturday, which would have been the final practice, was rained out. So we've only got the 1 practice after qualifying to go off of. So that's going to make things interesting as well. So as I do every week, I'm going to kind of go through how to get the cheat sheet open, how to make your own copy, how to adjust your own models. So what we'll do is we'll go to DFSR.com to start, DailyFantasySportsRankings.com. You can click on Other. It's right there at the top. There's my preview article. You can click on that and go in there. I go over the race every week, some of the trends, looking at course or track history, career track history, looking at track type history, that sort of thing. Put it all together and just come up with some trends. And then at the bottom of the cheat sheet, after I look at my pre-qualifying targets, you can click on the image there, or you can click on the link here. And what that's going to do is open the cheat sheet. Over on Rotoballer.com, to get to the NASCAR article, you can click on More, go down to NASCAR. I clicked on NCAA. So click on NASCAR. Latest articles at the top, Firekeepers Casino 400. This was after qualifying, before final practice, so keep that in mind when looking at my picks here. And then down at the bottom, you can click on the NASCAR cheat sheet here. Now you're also going to see there's a chat window down here. You can hit me up there with any questions that you have regarding the cheat sheet or any of my picks, or pretty much anything NASCAR related at all. So when it opens up that sheet from either of those sites, it's going to look like this. It's going to be view only, so what you're going to want to do is go up to File, make a copy, name it whatever you'd like, click OK. It's going to open up your own version. What that's going to allow you to do is sort columns. So for example, if you wanted to sort by FanDuel price, you just click on a FanDuel salary for any driver, go up to data, sort Z to A, which is highest to lowest, and then you're going to now have the field sorted by FanDuel price. And you can do that on any column in the sheet. For instance, before we have any practices or qualifying going, some things that I do is I'll go and look at the last 2 years, which here at Michigan is 4 races, and I'll sort by average finish. So again, you're going to want anywhere in that column average finish. Up to data, sort A to Z. And the drivers are going to be sorted by their average finish over the last 4 years. So first thing that stands out is Kyle Larson, of course. He's won 3 straight races here. He was 3rd in the other one. So he's got 4 top 5s in the 4 races, and he's got a 1.5 average finish. And he leads the DraftKings and FanDuel scoring with 68 points per race. So those are some things you can do. I've also got career track history. And then we've got track type history over here. And the track type, the 2 mile intermediate, we're looking at Fontana Auto Club Speedway and Michigan International Speedway. Those are the two tracks that we're looking at in that 2 mile intermediate range. So then we've got current form, last 6 races overall, how each driver's done. You can sort by, again, average finish. I look at it by fantasy scoring too. Full season form after 14 races. And then we've got practice and qualifying data, which, like I said, this week we've got practice 1, which comes before qualifying. Not really looking at that. There, I would say 80 to 85% of the field ran under 10 laps. They were kind of in that qualifying trim, looking to put down a fast lap for qualifying. Not data I'm going to be looking at in my model this week, but I will be looking at practice 2 10-lap averages, and then the qualifying practice differential, which is just the difference between their final practice speed and where they qualify, just to see if we can pick out some place differential. So then over here I color-coded each section. This is where we can enter in the model. So as you can see this week, we've got 55% of the overall weighting ranking for each driver on practice and qualifying. We've got 15% on track history, track type history 10%, form 15%, and then also form, but in DK average we've got 5%. So for any reason you're maybe just playing on FanDuel, you don't play a lot of DraftKings, you can come in here and you can actually adjust and put different weights, whether you're playing DraftKings or FanDuel. Last 4 races, last 6 races. This is last 6 form, and then this is season. So you can look at that all together and decide what's more important to you when making your own models. And I have had a lot of feedback of a lot of people that are going back, looking at 3, 4, 5, 6 races before that, playing with the models compared to how the final results came out after that race, just to kind of see what works best for them. So there is a lot of things that you can do to make this a little bit better for you. So we're just going to jump into some of the picks here. I'm going to go back up and sort by DraftKings. That seems to be what most people are playing right now. Kevin Harvick is the most expensive driver this week at $12,000. He is my top, I guess, when you're looking at Dominator. One thing I want to go look at here quickly is the last 6 races at Michigan. What you're going to notice is there has been one driver to lead 100 or more laps. There's only 200 laps in this race, but there's been one driver to lead 100 or more laps in 3 of the last 6 races. But what really stands out, because there's only 200 laps, is there's been 2 drivers that have led 50-plus laps in each of the last 2 races, which were last year, which I think has a lot to do with stage racing, because if you look before that, we had 0 in 2016, 1 in 2016, and then we had 1 and 1 looking at 2015. So I think the stage racing, just the way they split it up, especially this week, with that tire compound, a lack of practice to kind of test things out with that new tire, we could see 2 drivers leading 50-plus laps. And Kevin Harvick's definitely the top guy there. He started in 4th, and he was fastest in practice 2, which was actually turned out to be the final practice, as well as his 10-lap average. He was the fastest there as well. And then just kind of breaking down some, he hasn't won here over the last 6 races at Michigan, but he's got 13th, 14th, 5th, 2nd, and 29th. So he does have some upside. He has led over 100 laps in that time. I just think this week he's definitely on point. Now the guy I think is going to be highest owned this week, obviously, is Kyle Larson. Even before practice and qualifying, as he's won 3 straight races here, he's been really good. Now this week I think he's going to be super chalk, kind of the way Kevin Harvick was. I believe that was 2 weeks ago when he started at the back. Larson will be starting 26. Didn't like his car in qualifying, found it hard to steer. Didn't make it out of the first round, start 26. Now, they did show a ton of speed in final practice. They were 2nd fastest with the 3rd fastest 10-lap average, so they did make some huge adjustments just in that short amount of time. I think they will continue to adjust through the race, and he has a lot of place differential upside. He's going to be the highest owned of those drivers. And then close to him, I think it's going to be Larson, Truex, probably Busch, Larson and Harvick are going to be the top 2 owned, and then Truex is probably going to be right there with Kyle Busch as the 3rd. I think you can consider Kyle Busch as a dominator this week, 2nd fastest in final practice, looking at 10-lap averages. Truex started in 17th. He's got the better track record than Kyle here, and he's got some place differential upside. So I think Kyle definitely makes a good GPP play. Very good chance that he's going to be 4th in overall ownership this week on DraftKings. Also, looking at, maybe 5th and 6th in ownership this week is going to be Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano. As you can see, they both rank good when looking at track history here. Teammates, they're, being that they're going to be a little less owned, I think if you want to be a little bit contrarian, stacking those two together is definitely a good way to go. And being that they're a little bit lower price as well, really helps form a little bit more of a balanced lineup. And, it's going to separate yourself if something should happen to these, one or two of these top guys that a lot of people are going to be stacking together. Don't get me wrong, I'm going to have a lot of, Larson paired with Truex, Busch, and Harvick, just kind of mix and match in there. But a few of my contrarian lineups, say 15 to 20% of my lineups, I'm definitely going to have some Keselowski Logano stacks. Clint Boyer makes sense in GPPs as well. He hasn't had great track history here, so I'm not really willing to trust him in cash. But he has some place differential upside starting 12th. He was fast, top 5 speed in final practice in both 1-lap and 10-lap averages, so definitely looking at him there. Chase Elliott's an intriguing one as well. He comes back here. If it wasn't for Kyle Larson's dominance, I think Elliott might already have a win in the Cup Series. He's raced here 4 times. He finished 8th in the summer last year, and before that he had 3 straight runner-up finishes here at Michigan. So I think he makes a lot of sense as well. He's only 9,000 on DraftKings, 10.6 on FanDuel, and he's also starting 13th. He didn't show a ton of speed in final practice, but I think they can make up through it. Going through the first stage, I think he makes a lot of sense. He's going to be chalky. He might even be higher owned than Logano or Keselowski. So keep that in mind as well when you're building your GPP lineups. Going down a little bit more, Kurt Busch is starting on the pole this week. He was top 5 in 10-lap average final practice, so I think he could possibly has a chance of getting out front, leading some laps. But I do eventually think that Harvick or Busch or both of them get up there and pass Busch. So the fact that he's only got negative place differential value kind of has me wondering, keeping him to GPP. I'm not going to have a ton of exposure to him this week, starting on the pole. Alex Bowman makes sense this week as well. He's going to be GPP only, as just going to go over here. I'm just going to look at his track history. Pull it up here real quick. Hasn't been very good here at Michigan over the years. He's raced here 3 times. He's finished 30th, 31st, and 41st. So terrible track history. He does give us, place differential upside. He's shown, top 15 speed. So he looks like about a 12th to 15th place car for 7,800. I think that makes sense. Even 7,500 is even a better value on FanDuel down near the bottom. Getting him in there with, another punt play that we'll talk about here in a minute will help you get to that stack of Kyle Busch together with like a Truex, Larson, Harvick, even Keselowski or Logano, getting 2 or 3 of those guys together. Bowman helps that when you're a 5-driver lineup on FanDuel. Also talk about Jamie McMurray this week. I liked him kind of before practice and qualifying came out. He's got 4 straight top 10s here at Michigan and 5 in the last 6 races with the top 5 in there as well. So he's been very good here at this track. He started 24th, and while he was only 20th in final practice, he was 11th in 10-lap averages. So it looks like he's got some long run speed. He definitely looks like he's got a top 20, maybe even upside of a top 15 car this week. And at 7,600, that makes a lot of sense. So you can definitely pair McMurray with Bowman in GPP lineups this week. Going down a little bit lower, the punt play that I'm looking at this week, probably going to have the most exposure to from a punt side of things, is going to be Ty Dillon again. Starting 31st, he showed top 31 lap speed in final practice, 13th in 10-lap averages. Now, that's relative, that only 14 drivers were taking 10-lap averages. I think they can definitely figure it out. He hasn't shown a ton of speed in other practices, but other practices in years past, but he does have a good track record here. He's finished 21st, 20th, 24th, and 14th last 4 races here, so he knows how to race Michigan, and at 5,600 to 6,500 on FanDuel, it makes a ton of sense as well. And then Matt Dibenedetto is another one as well. He's starting 30th. He hasn't had the greatest track record here either, looking at Michigan, but he has finished inside that top 30 in 2 straight races last year. So it's 26th and 28th. So that's a little bit upside there for him at 5,400, 5,500 on FanDuel as a punt play in GPPs. And then this season, he's been pretty consistent for how much he costs. relative to the pricing. Of course, he's had a couple bad weeks, finishing 37th in the last 2 races, so he could be a little bit lower owned on that end of things. But before that, he was 22nd, 29th, 19th, 16th, 21st, 16th. So he has shown top 20 speed in the past, and like I said, he's finished inside the top 30 in 2 straight races here, so I think he makes a good punt as well. So this is kind of my top plays, going to be my core drivers this week. You know, there are other GPP plays, like I said. Keselowski, Logano aren't my main core, but I think they make sense if you're pivoting off of some of these top guys, some of the top ownership guys this week. Denny Hamlin, we never talked about. He started in 10th. Like I said, it's a little bit of a wild card this week with the tire compound. So, you know, getting a Denny Hamlin or a Ryan Blaney starting 9th, 10th, I think they're going to be low owned, probably in the 6th to 10th most owned drivers. Eric Jones as well. He's always low owned because he's starting top 10. A little bit younger of a driver. He has a pretty good track record here. He was top 10 speed. He's more of a FanDuel play for me this week, just because we're not looking at dominator points nearly as much, and we're looking more towards that finish position overall. And then we got Almirola. He's there too. I think he makes a nice pivot. The Fords have been fast this year. He showed top 10. He's starting 6th. I don't really like, but again, another FanDuel play. Other than that, if you have any, that pretty much concludes the video. If you have any questions on any drivers I didn't talk about, any lineup construction questions, any Michigan questions, any NASCAR questions at all, you can hit me up on dailyfantasysportsrankings.com. Just at the bottom of the article, you can hit me up in the comment section. Like I showed you on the Rotoballer article, there is a chat window at the bottom as well. On DFSR, we've got the member chat room. You can hit me up in the comments below the video here, or on Twitter at Jaeger_bombs9. And I've got that pretty much on 24/7. So I will be gone a few hours before lineup lock tomorrow, but I will have my phone on me. So the best place to hit me up in the morning would definitely be on Twitter or in the comments. I will try and get in and check the comments. I'm helping run a golf tournament tomorrow, or not run, but I'm in a golf tournament tomorrow. So I'll be out doing that all day long. So thanks for watching. Thanks for reading all my articles and supporting me over all this time for NASCAR. And let's get out there and let's see some green screens, everybody. Good luck.